I'm going to address the squat in a couple of ways. I'm going to address the squat unloaded. Right now, unloaded. So, principles of the squat. How I'm teaching a squat to a group of humans. I'm going to start my squat preparation at the feet. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is principles of what's happening in the feet, and for a simple conversation, I'm going to talk about 3 points of contact: big toe, little toe, and heel. Okay, so for me, if I'm going to be working on a squat for muscular development or strength, then I'm going to think big toe, little toe, and heel rooted into the ground, both feet. That's a principle. So in theory, we should not let that principle go through any range of motion of the squat. Okay? So big toe, little toe, heel rooted. I tend to start people at a roughly shoulder width in their squat. A little bit wider than hips, allows for a little bit more range of motion through the hips. Now, I have zero preference from toes straight to toes out, roughly 15 degrees. That's a general rule of thumb. Anything outside of 15 degrees, I'm probably going to address that with the human in front of me on a separate, off to the side, one-on-one, try to figure out what's going on. Is it discomfort? Is it mobility? What's driving us to have toe blades so far out? So anywhere from about straight, so somewhere around 15 degrees, big toe, little toe, heel rooted. Okay? Now, to create stability through my chain, and my chain today is my legs, then I need to understand how to access my glutes to create rotation through that joint. That rotation is what creates stability in this chain. Okay? So, now, big toe, little toe, heel rooted, knee tracking over second toe. So, I'm going to use that rotation to keep knee tracking over second toe. I will need to focus more on my rotation or my torque for stability based on how heavy loads are. Loads are going to bias me inward, and I'm going to have to fight to keep knee over toe. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm not worried about your spine right now because we're unloaded. But we're going to break at the knee and the hip, ideally at the same pace, and we're going to think about going straight down, keeping knee over second toes, and keeping big toe, little toe, heel rooted, and then come right back up. Go for it. Give me 5 squats. Okay, so there's my unloaded body weight squat, right? Now I'm going to load it up. I'm going to do a back squat. You're going to come along for the ride. We got 5 more squats. The difference is now I have weight on my back. So now I've loaded my spine. So now I need to start to bring some awareness around what's happening in my spine. Okay? So ideally we want to try to keep the spine neutral. Not flat, neutral. Okay? And neutral's an S. And how I teach that is I take and I create a box. So I want my members in the gym or my class to find their hip points. They're going to come right across and give me the bottom of their box. And then I'm going to find my sternum, and I'm going to create the top of my box. And if I'm in what we call neutral spine, my box is just right here, right? When I overextend through my spine, or I go into hyperextension, my box opens up. Right? If I go through flexion of my spine, my box closes. So what we want to try to do is how far can we go into our squat depth without my box opening or closing? So now we got a new principle, right? First principle, big toe, little toe, heel rooted. Second principle, knee living over that second toe. Third principle, I have a loaded squat now. Now that bar's on my back. So I have to create that box. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my athletes pull down into squat. How far can they go without losing the box? I get down here and I run out of range of motion. I might have to crunch in. My box closes. Somebody tell me chest up, my box opens. Can I live in a neutral spine and find the bottom of your squat? So with a barbell, I get in here, I brace, I get the upper back. I like to pull my grip in close to my shoulders. That helps me turn on my upper back and find my lats. I have my box set. I take my big belly breath. I create some abdominal pressure and I head down into my squat and I drive right back up. That's back squat, right? So we did unloaded body weight squat. We loaded up our backs with a back squat. Now we put some weight into thinking more hamstrings and glutes, because when I load up my back squat, I'm gonna get a little bit of a hinge in that squat, right? And then if you carry that over into a front squat, that is gonna be more quad driven. We pop the bar over. Now, here's where we start to talk about something totally separate from the squat. When we get into front squats, we have to now start to talk about our upper bodies, because we have to talk about front racks, right? And I think a big overlooked piece of the front rack is, how do you get to a front rack? And it's not just mobility. It's about me being able to protract my shoulder blades as well, right? So if you think of a front squat, I'm trying to rest the bar in my front rack, right? Well, if I've got my shoulder blades sucked back here, I got no front rack. So I gotta have this ability to expand through my upper back. And if I can find protraction in my shoulder blades, what's that? The top of my bench press? The end of my ring row, right? Like my lats are on still, but I found protraction. And then if I break at the elbow, I got a front rack. So with PVC pipe, I'm gonna have a hard time finding a front rack. You're gonna be able to see in the video, right? My triceps are tight, my pecs are tight right now. My front rack is probably gonna require me to pull the bar down with my chin, right? But nothing changes, my principles didn't change. It's still big toe, little toe, heel rooted. It's still knee over second toe. And now this is a loaded squat, so I'm still having to worry about that neutral spine. So this is where things can get tricky for some of us squatting though, because if we lack mobility in joints, our torso is going to have to do weird things to keep center of mass over center of base, right? So this is a great time if you have an athlete who has really tight calves or doesn't have very good knee over toe ankle flexion. Go grab the wedges and slide some wedges under their heels. You buy them some ankle flexion, they'll be able to keep their torso up, and at the bottom of a squat, they'll be able to get their knees further out over their toes, which is going to make it more quad dominant, right? And all I've done is elevate my heels to find that. So the principles of the squat didn't change. What we did is we gave somebody a tool to work around an immobile joint, right? So if we see a front squat start to look very hingy, then if we wedge up their heels and bring their butt back into their heels, then all of a sudden I get my torso up and I have a more upright torso. Now I can worry more about loading up my quads and being in a better position through my spine, which is also going to take some of the stress off my midline.
Mark, will you show like the zombie squat or
A zombie squat?
The alternative cross hold?
Now, let's say we have a human who has an inability to find front rack, right? Like they have a really hard time getting the shoulder blades forward, or they just can't get the bar to the front rack at all. Couple options. Option A, kettlebells, goblet squat. Still puts the weight in the front half of the body. Still gonna make it very quad dominant. Still gonna be able to keep that torso up, right? So that's one way, especially if I have somebody new to the gym. Maybe I don't know the person at all. I'm gonna goblet squat them, super safe, super controlled. I know this human more. I see him in the gym, or I see her in the gym. This human's in the gym all the time. Okay, but this human just has a really hard time getting in front of the front rack. Another way to get into that is called a zombie squat. And what I'm doing is I'm putting that bar on that protracted shoulder blade, and I'm just bringing my arms up. So the bar lives. Why don't we just get a bar?
Yeah.
Well, the bar lives in my front rack. So a zombie squat would be something like this, right? So what I've done is, maybe I don't have the range of motion to get to the bar, okay, but I can protract my shoulder blades and I can get my elbows high enough. And that bar's in my throat, and that's what I want. I want to feel like I'm going to choke the whole fucking time. If I don't feel like I'm choking, then the bar's probably not close enough to my spine. And that's the goal. The goal is to get this bar as close to my spine as possible. Center of mass is my spine. I want to keep this over that. Or sorry, center of base is my spine. This is my mass. I want to keep this mass close to my center of base, right? So then I can get into a zombie squat here, and I can squat down and drive back up. Another option Right. This is a great way to front squat somebody. I put them in zombie and I just take cross arm. Now I got some stability side to side. I can keep my elbows up. I can keep that bar back into my throat and I can front squat. There. So front squats, if they lack protraction to shoulder blade, you got to go straight to goblet. You can't even find zombie, right? They don't have that kind of room in their upper back to get their shoulder blade to go forward. And some people don't. Goblet them. Goblet with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. And if we can find that, then you could take them and start to load up zombie. And then if they start to go heavy, just have them cross and now they've got stability in zombie. Questions? Coach, did I get everything you want?
Commentary on how much grip you have on the bar.
Yeah.
Like I noticed today in the cleans, for example, people cleaning here and like maybe not feeling super comfortable, not only in the front rack, but also just kind of letting their fingers a little off the bar.
Let's videotape this. Let's talk about, you want to spend a minute talking about grip? Come on over.
I think that's good, and it's a good segue to maybe